Once there was a king who lived in a country with a big garden around his palace. But, even though there were many gardeners and the soil was good, the garden didn't grow flowers, fruits, grass, or trees for shade. The king felt sad about it. Then, a wise old man told him, "Your gardeners don't know how to take care of the garden. They are not trained gardeners. Their parents were cobblers and carpenters. How could they learn to grow things?" The king agreed with the old man and decided to find a gardener whose family had been gardeners for generations. He sent messengers everywhere to search for such a gardener. After 40 days, they found one. "Come and work as the king's gardener," they told him. The gardener hesitated. "How can I work for the king? I'm just a poor person." "It doesn't matter," they said. "We'll give you new clothes and pay your debts." So, the gardener agreed and went to work for the king with his family. The king was happy to have found a real gardener. The new gardener easily made the garden beautiful with flowers and fruits. The king was so pleased that he gave many gifts to the gardener. The gardener had a handsome son who was polite. Every day he brought the best fruits to the king and the prettiest flowers to the king's daughter. She was very beautiful and 16 years old. The king thought it was time for her to get married. "My dear," he said, "you're old enough to marry. I'm thinking of marrying you to the son of my prime minister." "Dad," said the princess, "I don't want to marry the minister's son." "Why not?" asked the king. "Because I love the gardener's son," said the princess. The king got very angry at first, then he cried and sighed. He thought the gardener's son wasn't good enough for his daughter. But the princess was determined to marry him. The king asked his ministers for advice. They said, "Send both suitors far away. The one who comes back first can marry your daughter." The king agreed. He gave the minister's son a fine horse and a lot of gold. But the gardener's son got an old, lame horse and some copper coins. Everyone thought he wouldn't come back. Before they left, the princess gave her lover a purse full of jewels. She said, "Be brave. Remember, I love you. Use these jewels wisely and come back quickly to marry me." Both suitors left together. The minister's son rode away fast on his good horse and soon disappeared behind the hills. He traveled for days and stopped by a fountain where an old, ragged woman sat. "Hello, young traveler," she said. But the minister's son ignored her. "Please help me, I'm hungry," she said. "I've been here for 3 days and no one has given me anything." "Leave me alone, old woman," said the young man, and he rode away. That evening, the gardener's son arrived at the fountain on his old gray horse. "Hello, young traveler," said the beggar woman. "Hello, ma'am," he replied. The young traveler listened to the old woman and felt sorry for her. "Take my purse," he said kindly, "and hop on my horse, your legs must be tired." The old woman gladly accepted his offer and rode with him. They reached a big city where the minister's son stayed in a fancy inn, while the gardener's son and the old woman stayed at a place for beggars. The next day, the gardener's son heard a loud noise outside. The king's messengers were announcing, "Our king is old and weak. He'll reward whoever makes him young again." The old woman told him what to do: leave the town through the south gate. You'll find 3 dogs of different colors, white, black, and red. Kill them, burn them separately, and collect their ashes in bags of the same color. Then go to the palace and say you're a famous doctor from Janina in Albania. Even if the king's doctors doubt you, insist. They'll let you see the king. Ask for wood, a big pot, and boil the king. When his flesh separates from bones, put him back together with the ashes. He'll become young again. Ask for a bronze ring as your reward, it grants wishes. Go and remember everything I said. The young man did as she said. He found the dogs, burned them, collected their ashes, and went to the palace. I'm a famous doctor from Janina in Albania. I can make the king young again, he announced. The king's doctors first laughed at the stranger, but the king let him in. They brought the big pot and lots of wood. Soon, the king was boiling. By midday, the gardener's son put the bones back in place and sprinkled ashes. The old king became young and strong again. How can I thank you? The king asked. Half my treasures? My daughter's hand? No, said the gardener's son. Half my kingdom? No. Just give me the bronze ring that grants wishes. I love that ring, said the king, but you shall have it. The gardener's son said goodbye to the old woman and told the ring, make a splendid ship with gold hull, silver masts, and silk sails. 12 noble-looking men will crew it, dressed like kings. Saint Nicholas will steer. Fill it with diamonds, rubies, emeralds, and jewels. A beautiful ship appeared. He boarded it and sailed to a great town, where he lived in a grand palace. After some days, he met his rival, the minister's son, who had lost all his money and did dirty work. What's your story? Asked the gardener's son. I'm the prime minister's son, but look at me now. I can help you. I'll give you a ship to go home, but you must come to my palace. The minister's son followed the rich stranger, not knowing who he was. When they got to the palace, the gardener's son signaled his servants to undress the newcomer. Heat up this ring, the master said, and mark the man's back with it. The servants did as they were told. Now, young man, said the rich stranger, I'll give you a ship to go home. He took the bronze ring and said, make me a ship with old, black wood, torn sails, and sickly sailors. Some will be disabled, some ugly and scarred. Go, do as I say. The minister's son sailed in this sad ship and finally reached his country. Even though he looked terrible, they welcomed him. I'm the first one back, he told the king. Keep your promise and let me marry the princess. They started planning the wedding. The princess was unhappy about it. The next morning, a magnificent ship arrived. The king saw it from the palace. What's this amazing ship? He exclaimed. Golden hull, silver masts, and young men like princes. Is that Saint Nicholas steering? Invite the captain here. The servants brought in a handsome prince in silk and jewels. Welcome, whoever you are, said the king. Stay with us. I accept, thank you, said the captain. My daughter is getting married, said the king. Will you give her away? I'd be honored, sire. Then, the princess and her fiancé came in. Why marry this princess to that man? The young captain asked. But he's the prime minister's son. What's the matter? I can't give your daughter away. The man she's engaged to is one of my workers, said the young captain. Your worker? Asked the king. Yes, I met him in another town doing odd jobs. I felt sorry for him and hired him. That can't be true, exclaimed the king. Do you want proof? This young man came back in a ship I gave him. It was old and broken, and the sailors were injured, explained the young captain. That's true, admitted the king. It's not true, protested the minister's son. I don't know this man. King, order him to be undressed. "You'll see my ring's mark on his back," said the young captain. The king was going to do it, but the minister's son confessed to avoid embarrassment. "Now, king, do you remember me?" asked the young captain. "I remember," said the princess. "You're the gardener's son I love." "You'll marry my daughter," declared the king. "The wedding will be today." So, the gardener's son married the princess that day. Some time passed. The couple was happy, and the king was proud of his son-in-law. But then, the captain of the golden ship had to go on a long journey. He hugged his wife goodbye and left. Near the city, there was an old man who knew dark magic, alchemy, astrology, and enchantments. He discovered that the gardener's son had the ring that controlled genies. "I want that ring," he said to himself. So he caught some pretty red fishes and shouted outside the princess's window, "Who wants pretty red fishes?" The princess sent a slave to ask, "How much for your fishes?" "A bronze ring," said the old man. "A bronze ring? Where do I get that?" asked the slave. "It's under the princess's cushion," he replied. The slave told the princess what the old man wanted. "He doesn't want gold or silver. He wants a bronze ring under the cushion," she said. "Find it and give it to him," the princess instructed. Finally, the slave found the bronze ring left behind by the captain of the golden ship and gave it to the old man, who hurried away. As soon as he got home, he commanded, "Bronze ring, obey me. Make the golden ship turn into black wood, the crew into ugly black people, replace St. Nicholas, and fill the ship with black cats." The ring's magic worked. The young captain realized someone had stolen his ring. He felt sad, thinking his wife was taken too. He sailed from island to island, feeling poor and hungry. He landed on a mouse-inhabited island where his hungry cats caused chaos. The queen mouse held a meeting, fearing the cats would eat them all. Some brave mice went to the captain. "Please leave or we'll be eaten," they begged. "I will if you find my stolen bronze ring," he said. "If not, I'll release my cats, and you'll be in trouble." The mice panicked. They called mice from everywhere, but no one knew about the ring. Then, 3 mice arrived from afar. One was blind, one lame, and one had no ears. "We come from a distant place," they said. "Do you know where the bronze ring is?" asked the captain. "We know," said the mice. "An old sorcerer has it. He keeps it in his pocket by day and in his mouth by night." "Go get it and come back," the captain said. So, the mice made a boat and sailed to the sorcerer's land. They left the blind mouse to watch the boat and went to the palace. At night, when the sorcerer slept with the ring in his mouth, the mice planned. The mouse with cropped ears dipped her tail in oil and pepper, making the sorcerer sneeze. The ring popped out and the lame mouse took it. When the sorcerer woke up, the ring was gone. But the mice were sailing back with it. As they sailed, they argued about who deserved credit. The blind mouse said she watched the boat, the mouse with cropped ears made the ring jump, and the lame mouse took it. They fought and dropped the ring into the sea. Feeling guilty, they decided to live on a desert island. While wandering, the blind mouse found something hard while eating a fish. "It's the bronze ring," they shouted happily. They sailed back to the mouse island just in time. The captain was about to release the cats when the mice gave him the ring. "Bronze ring," commanded the captain, "make my ship as it was." The ring's magic worked, turning the old ship back into the golden one. The sailors set sail for the capital, singing happily. Finally, they reached the port. The captain hurried to the palace, where the evil sorcerer slept. The princess hugged her husband tightly. They caught the sorcerer and tied him up. The next day, they tied the sorcerer to a mule's tail and broke him into pieces with the nuts the mule carried.